have our campus members and the greater San Diego community here today for this momentum occasion, which is a visit from His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama. When His Holiness accepted UC San Diego's offer to deliver the keynote speech at our all-campus commencement, which is tomorrow, he also graciously agreed to hold this public talk here today. It was important to us at UC San Diego, especially as a public university, that our fellow San Diegans have the opportunity to hear his message of peace and compassion. This is actually the second time that His Holiness has spoken at UC San Diego. He was last in our city in 2012. He spoke on our campus about climate change and the need for spiritual leaders to promote education as a vehicle for awareness and compassion. And a little fun fact, in 2015, our researchers from UC San Diego's very own Scripps Institutions of Oceanography named a newly discovered species of marine life, a deep sea worm, and they named it after His Holiness because it gives more to the earth than it would ever take. And the name is Surso Dalai Lama. Thank you. Since his 2012 visit, there has been a great interest in bringing him back here, and his global message of peace and compassion is more important today than ever before. It also aligns very much with UC San Diego's mission and our dedication to the pursuit of greater good. As you know, UC San Diego is a world-class institution renowned for its rigorous academics, transformative research, and our steadfast commitment to public service and social mobility. We are home to several Nobel laureates, MacArthur Fellows, recipients of the Pulitzer Prize, Tony Awards, the Emmys, National Medal of Science, Presidential Medal of Freedom, and multiple national members of the National Academy. We are home to some of the greatest intellectuals, not just in San Diego, but in the country. And all of our faculty and our students and staff work tirelessly to positively impact our world. So this is just one of the many reasons UC San Diego has been ranked as the #1 public university in the nation for serving public interest. And it is this spirit of integrity, thank you, and it is this spirit of integrity, knowledge, and discovery that led us to invite His Holiness to our campus to address our graduates tomorrow and to be here today. We believe his message of compassion is a noble one, and one that our graduates and all of us should hear. His Holiness inspires us to gain a deeper understanding of our world and ourselves, and to seek solutions that benefit our global society, and most importantly, to be compassionate citizens who look out for one another. So as you saw on the screens today, His Holiness has delivered his message of compassion to hundreds of universities and organizations throughout the world, inspiring millions and millions of people. And today he will expand on this topic of compassion, and the title of his talk is Embracing the Beauty of Diversity in Our World. But before he delivers his talk and his inspiring words of wisdom, I'd like to recognize a few dignitaries who are here with us today. First, our very own City of San Diego Mayor Kevin Faulkner. Members of the California Board of Regents, including Assembly Speaker Emeritus and Regent John Perez, Regent Charlene Zettel, and Regent Richard Bloom. Members of UC San Diego's Board of Trustees and our campaign cabinet, and our campus leaders, staff, faculty, and students, and alumni who have made UC San Diego the world-class university it is today. So now, thank you. Yeah, one more time, thank you. Please. Now it is my great pleasure to introduce San Diego City Mayor Kevin Faulkner, one of our university's close partners. He is a true advocate for families in San Diego, and he supports the pursuit of education as a key to better life. Mayor Faulkner became the 36th mayor of San Diego in 2014, and he has been implementing his vision for One San Diego in order to unify our city and create opportunities for San Diegans. UC San Diego and the City of San Diego work together on many, many projects, from sustainability initiatives to UC San Diego's expansion downtown with the soon-to-be-created Innovation, Cultural, and Educational Hub. And the mayor has been extremely supportive of UC San Diego's research enterprise that fuels the County of San Diego and the state of California in both high-tech and biotech industries. Mayor Faulkner, we are grateful for your partnership and your visionary leadership that has made San Diego the #1 city in the USA.
Thank you, Pradeep. Thank you, Pradeep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chancellor. Ladies and gentlemen, what a beautiful day. An honored day for all of us here in San Diego, and it is a great honor as our entire city welcomes His Holiness, the 14th Dalai Lama, to our city. I want to thank UCSD for giving us all the opportunity to listen to one of the world's greatest advocates for peace, understanding, justice, compassion, and hope. There is no city more appropriate in the country to welcome His Holiness to kick off his 2017 visit. Because in San Diego, we believe that diversity is one of our city's greatest strengths. We believe that protecting the environment is the right thing to do. And we believe that our spirit of collaboration and understanding helps us put aside our differences to give everyone in every neighborhood the opportunity to succeed. Because here in San Diego, it doesn't matter where you're from. People from all over the world are welcome to call our city home. And each person brings their unique culture, tradition, and history with them. These similarities unite us, and they help us celebrate the incredible diversity that surrounds us. As people, all of us strive to demonstrate peace, understanding, into our daily interactions. But there are few people in the world, if any, who can match the example set forth by His Holiness the Dalai Lama. And there is no question in my mind why his message resonates with so many people from different faiths, cultures, and countries. It's because he introduces himself as a simple monk, no more, no less. And in fact, he is that and so much more. The spiritual leader of Tibetan Buddhists, a Nobel Peace Prize winner, the recipient of dozens of awards, and countless other worldwide recognitions. And mostly important, an inspiration to millions of people across the globe. Your Holiness, your message of compassion, nonviolence, interreligious understanding, and universal responsibility is something that all of us can admire. Thank you for the work that you do to make our world a more peaceful place. And it is why it is such an honor for the great city of San Diego to welcome you, to say thank you for all that you do, that example. And on behalf of our citizens, it's my pleasure to present you with this key to the city. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
You want to sit so you can sit there. You should sit down if
Yes,
you
sir.
talk.
Hello. Good morning. Do you prefer sunny day or cloud? Too hot, I think. Thank you. Sit down.
As you just witnessed, it is always helpful in a time of uncertainty to meet a wise and compassionate human being. It can be comforting in a time of anger to hear a man who says his religion is kindness. And there is something that can ease deep within us in a time of worry when we are offered a glimpse of a better world. The 14th Dalai Lama, revered by the Tibetan people as the reincarnation of the Enlightened One, or Bodhisattva of compassion, calls himself a simple monk, a human being, just like the rest of us. Like us, he has faced the sufferings of being a human being. In his case, separated from his mother as a small child, struggling to protect his people from violence as a teenager, losing his freedom, then his home and his country, surviving a harrowing 14-day escape into exile at the age of 23, becoming a refugee, losing parents and siblings, and for decades now, enduring the suffering of the Tibetan people while advocating tirelessly for their basic human rights. And yet, despite all of this, he has chosen to love. And that love has led him to embrace the entire world. He knows that our true human potential is far greater than we can even imagine. He knows not only from studying the rich wisdom found in ancient Tibetan texts, but also from a field of scientific inquiry that he initiated that has analyzed compassion and the human brain. Modern science, it turns out, has found that compassion is a fundamental human trait. The evidence indicates that humans who practice compassion tend to be happier and may even live longer. The Dalai Lama says this evidence is reason to hope that we humans will find our better selves. This hope for the future is what has driven him to reach out not just to Buddhists, but to all of us, with a consistent message over the last nearly 60 years. His message of compassion, peace, and nonviolence has taken him to 62 countries, many repeatedly, and has had him win 84 awards and counting, including the coveted Nobel Peace Prize. But everyone who has come to know the Dalai Lama will tell you that he is a humble man and he doesn't want awards. What he wants is action, tangible, positive change in us and the way we treat one another, which is why now at the age of 81, he is still traveling the world and is still speaking to people, including to you today. And for all the good he has done, he is still pushing himself to do more. It is a long way from Dharamsala, India. My flight there was grueling, more than 16 hours. So the Dalai Lama can only come to the United States once or twice a year. And I cannot explain why it is that I have never seen him crabby with jet lag, or why every morning here, just as in Dharamsala, he wakes up at 3 a.m. to pray for the world. What I do know is that he loves a good breakfast. I know that he is unself-conscious, so much so that once he burst out of his bathroom brushing his teeth while talking to me, even though he knew that our news cameras were still rolling. I know that he has a sparkling, bright mind. He is so inquisitive. I know that because I've seen him melt when he's around children. I've seen how he warms to young people, and I've seen how he shows deference, even reverence, to people who are older than he is. And I also know this: he loves you. So please, warmly welcome the 14th Dalai Lama.
Thank you. Thank
Would you
you.
like to speak here or speak here?
No, there. Good morning. Please sit down. Respected elder brothers and sisters and younger brothers, sisters. I always start to talk just call brothers, sisters. So firstly, I don't like formality. I think when we're born, no formality. When we die, no formality. So, now between there, I think we should treat you as another human brother, sisters. And furthermore, I have certain reasons everybody want happy life. That's our right. I usually believe and telling people the very purpose of our life is for happiness. Reason, future, no guarantee, but just based on hope or something good, something no matter how present or past some difficulties, but still with hope live. Once you completely lost hope, then that very mental attitude shorten our life. And the worst thing, suicide. So therefore, we can say, very purpose of our life is happiness, joyfulness. Now, however, now today, 7 billion human beings, everyone want happy life, and everyone have a right be happy human being, but a lot of problem. Besides nature disaster, many problems essentially our own creation. Now here, big contradiction. One way, nobody want problem, want happiness, but many problem, many suffering, our own creation. Why? As a living being, even animal, part of our emotion, anger, fear, and that, although part of our mind. For example, when we're born, ignorant, letter, script, and many professions, gradually we learned. So similarly, I think basic our sort of mind, they're more or less, I think, like other animals, very limited. But through training, we create this, as they utilize human intelligence, potential of our intelligence, and we learned many things through training, through study. So similarly, our emotion, also through training, through learning, we can deal, we can tackle our emotion. So therefore, most important thing to tackle our destructive emotion is kindness, loving kindness. That entirely based on sense of oneness of humanity. So, if we really create, through education, through awareness, sense of oneness of 7 billion human beings, then I think a lot of, usually I call man-made problem, that not necessary. Females never create problem, no. No. Some female also, you see, I think will contribute to some sort of problem. But generally speaking, of course, all these man-made sort of problem or human-created problem, that's quite sad. I mean, we do not want suffering. But at the same time, a lot of problem we created. Why? Due to lack of oneness of humanity. So therefore, when I give talk, I always use the word brothers, sisters. And also, the selfish reason. When I think I'm just one human being, then I feel, you see, there are a lot of brothers, sisters, a lot of human friends. If I too much emphasis, I'm Dalai Lama, then out of 7 billion, only one Dalai Lama. So that creates loneliness. When I think more seriously, we are same human being. So with that feeling, when I meet different people, different country, I always feel we are same. No barrier. So therefore, according to my own experience, I deliberately try to promote universal compassion, based on sense of oneness of humanity. So that's my number one commitment. But at the same time, the topic, kasa. Come here.
So as you know, the topic for today's lecture is embracing the beauty of the diversity in our world.
So now, diversity, I think in human history, in millions of years ago, I think a human being, this kind of sort of human body, eventually developed. But at that time, you see, because of different location, and including different sort of climate condition, and then their way of life, according to that, so there are some differences. Northern world, southern world, eastern world, western world, like that. Then eventually language develop and the script develop. So sometimes I feel, different people, different culture, different language, like different variety of flower in big flower garden. No matter how beautiful, but entire flower is same, they're not much attractive. Different color, different size. I don't know, bees, they may prefer, you see, different variety of flower or not, I don't know. But I think as far as sort of beauty is concerned, a big garden, different flower, is really more attractive. So like that, the big garden on this planet of human being, different culture, different, language or different, a certain way of life. A different culture, not imposed, but evolutionary way, naturally sort of develop. So it suits the condition or environment of that particular place. So therefore, the variety of culture and way of life is practical, useful. But then we should not too much emphasis on that. Many of our problem is we too much emphasis on secondary level of differences, different nationality, different color, different religious faith. Even same sort of faith and same nationality or same color, but then rich and poor, or uneducated or educated people. So I think many problems which we are facing, those problems which our own creation, with too much emphasis on differences. So we have to make more balance, keep our own identity, our own cultural heritage, at the same time without losing sense of oneness of humanity. Particularly now today, in ancient time, okay, I think Native American, in 1,000 years, they remain here completely isolated. And we, Asian people in Asia, our own way of life go like that. Now we are 21st century. Global economy. See, no sort of limitation or demarcation of nationality or continent. Everything interdependent. And then global warming. No differences, this continent or that continent. And then population. When I first came to India as a refugee, then 6 million, 6 billion. Nowadays, 7 billion. So according to some sort of expert, say, end of this century, human population will reach 10 billions. And then even you see 7 billion here. Oh, very sadly, the gap rich and poor. Not only global level, but also national level, there are quite serious gap, rich and poor. Even this country, America, I think richest country, but the gap, the gap, rich and poor. One occasion in Washington, I mentioned the capital of the great nation. The capital around there also, you see some suburbs are there. The suburbs of Washington, there are poor people. So now this, not only morally wrong, but practically also source of problem. We have to reduce this gap, rich and poor. So therefore, and then meantime, the reduce does not mean the richer people should be poor. No. The poorer section of people, their living standard must develop, must uplift. So we further need more sort of money, more material things. So therefore, the nature resources, there is some sign of scarcity of nature resources, including water. So therefore, I think the whole sort of planet, the trend, you see, there's some changing. including global warming. So therefore, now time come. We have to work together and share each other's problem. Act as a one human family. I really feel that. So therefore, irrespective whether believer or non-believer, we have to pay more attention about deeper our value. That is human loving kindness or human affection. Now there is real hope. Some now scientists, through their examination, experiment, they took conclusion, basic human nature is more compassionate. One sort of clear indication is constant fear, constant anger, actually eating our immune system. More compassionate mind brings more self-confidence. That brings inner strength. That reduces fear. And also, compassion brings friendly atmosphere. I think easily, compassionate mind there, genuine smile come. I think smile is one unique about a human being. Maybe some monkey may have some sort of ability, I don't know. But otherwise, I think smile is, one of our sort of unique thing. So smile really brings closeness feeling. Even difficult to communicate different language. But we can, through smile, we can easily sort of also they bring a friendship, closeness feeling. However, a smile, I think our brain is so smart. The smile also sometimes diplomatic smile, sarcastic smile. These smile, instead of bring happiness, but more suspicion. Genuine human sort of, the smile is really sign of loving kindness. So as I mentioned earlier, basic human nature is more compassionate. So now, this our intelligence, this brain, marvelous brain, now should support these basic our nature good quality. Now here, not only myself, but many scientists and some educationists have some sort of reservation. The existing so-called modern education not adequate about our inner value, such as compassion and tolerance, forgiveness. When modern education started in Europe, I think I'm not very sure. I'm not a historian, but it seems to me the industrialization, this is start. Then working class people. So at that time, the previously religious institution, church, monastery, the place, education place. Eventually, the modernization or industrialization, then it need separate institution for education. So at that time, I feel quite sufficient, quite balanced. Moral ethics, compassion, these take care by church. The newly developed education institution carry certain other sort of knowledge. So now, gradually, the religious effect in the society, sometimes we see a little bit decrease. So now education institution itself should take full responsibility, not only development of our brain, but also strengthening basic human value. That's compassion. So, although compassion, love, animal also have, but since we have this marvelous brain, so use our intelligence, our brain, also towards the human being, we have the ability to develop infinite love. Animal cannot do because of this intelligence. So therefore, I always now appealing people, and particularly the education institution, now should pay more attention about education, moral ethics, inner value. So that even I usually used to call in education field, the hygiene education about hygiene of physical. So similarly, we should include, or we should add education about hygiene of emotion, so that the education about material value provide us physical comfort. Education about our mental sort of system, rather mental thing, or moral thing, that provide us mental peace, mental health. So now scientists also now they are taking conclusion. Healthy mind is very important for healthy body. So like part of hygiene of physical health, we must include hygiene of emotion. For that, we should know quite a detailed way about the system of our emotion. Sometimes I call map of emotion, map of mind. Once we have sort of fuller knowledge about the whole system of emotion, then much easier to tackle these destructive emotions such as anger, hatred, like that. So therefore, I think like this university and some other education institution, please pay more attention at these things. And then in India, and also it's the help of Emory University, we already drafting the curriculum about secular ethics. When we use secular, according Indian understanding, secular means respect all religion and also respect non-believer. That's, I think, very relevant to today's world. According to some sort of, some people say, out of 7 billion, 1 billion non-believer. These also human brothers, sisters. They also, usually, the problem is, when we talk kindness, loving kindness, these things, or forgiveness, these things, then people get the impression these are religious matter. People who have no interest about religion, then they also, you see, not much pay attention about these things. That is wrong. Whether you accept religion or not, up to individual. But, you see, peace of mind, everybody want, everybody need. So education about hygiene of emotion, the secular way, then it cover entire 7 billion human beings. In the West, the very word secular, sometimes you see people, some my friends, you see, they say secular is some sort of meaning or disrespect of religion. And at least you see some kind of distance from religion. According to Indian understanding, not that way. So, in any way, you see, one sort of, what's the moral principle with fuller understanding or fuller knowledge about our emotion, our mind, not relying on religion, not talking about next life, not talking about hell or heaven, but simply how to create happy human being on this planet. That's our main sort of, I'll say, the talk. So, I think with this topic, we Tibetan, we are very much sort of making effort to preservation of our own language, our own, the knowledge, these things. But at the same time, within the concept of oneness of humanity. So then, okay, if too much emphasis, too much emphasis, we, then automatically create they. So then, distance, we and they. That's the basis of bully, exploitation, and finally, violence. So, entire 7 billion human beings should consider part of we. Even if you see some people, troublemaker for you, he is also a human being. So they deserve our love. In spite, you see, their negative attitude, if we keep our love, then there is real possibility today's enemy next time become best friend. So these things are usually, you see, the reason we call enemy is there are certain attitude, not as a human being. So genuine love, compassion, oriented human being, not their attitude. So therefore, the genuine compassion and loving kindness can extend towards troublemaker, so-called your enemy. Their attitude towards you, negative, but still they are human brothers, sisters. They deserve our love, our kindness. Through that way, as I mentioned earlier, the negative attitude due to their negative emotion. So emotion always changing. So today's negative attitude due to certain negative emotion, if you keep friendship, loving kindness, showing them loving kindness, certainly there is possibility to change. So that's way, the very meaning of tolerance, forgiveness is like this. Forgiveness does not mean you just forget what happened. No. If you really forget, then no basis of tolerance. You keep what they've done, negative thing, but not let develop anger, hatred towards them. So that's the genuine meaning of forgiveness, like that. So I think that's all. Now, some question, isn't it? Some question. Some questions. Here are some questions. Any question you can ask me. But I also have the right to say I don't know.
So if you could sit down here,
yes.
I'll bring up another chair.
I
okay.
sit here.
All right. There's some questions that have been sent from around the world. There are a lot of them from the San Diego area. I know they're still setting up, but I wanted to begin with one that is really quite sweet. Your Holiness, this question comes from a woman named Marion Engelking. She says, "My name is Marian Engelking, and I am 93 years old. My granddaughter, Jenny Conley, is graduating from UCSD tomorrow. I have lived 9 decades through war, peace, and uncertainty. And I've always told my children, my grandchildren, and my great-grandchildren, leave the world a better place than when you found it." This woman who's 93 years old is asking you, what advice can you give to my granddaughter and her graduating classmates on how they can contribute to making the world a better place?
Very good question. Firstly, I want to show my respect. Elder sister, 93.
93.
Wonderful. I think that kind of concern is, I think, very reasonable and a very important sort of concern. Answer, I think I already mentioned. And on that, we are beginning of 21st century, now 2017. Right. So remaining century still in future. So past, like 20th century, nobody can change. Only we learn what happened there. Otherwise, impossible to change. The future is still, you see, in the space. So can change. Therefore, your grandchildren, grandchildren, you see, they can change this century, 21st century. I always telling, 20th century, which is my century. I'm generation of 20th century. So, 20th century, a lot of violence, more serious sort of violence, First World War, Second World War, then including civil war in Russia and China and many other places, and Vietnam War, Korean War. Even today, you see, there are some sort of today pockets of violence there. Now, certain sort of violence, pockets. These I consider result of 20th century's mistake and 20th century's negligence. So therefore, 20th century, I think in 20th century, you see people or nation, whenever they find some sort of obstacle, their first reaction from their mind is how to solve this by force. That is totally mistake, wrong. So now, this 21st century, in order to create peaceful century, we must develop, this century should be century of dialogue. Whenever we find some disagreement, we have to think how to solve, how to reduce this gap through talk, with mutual respect, mutual love. Consider they also part of human brothers, sisters. So their interests we must respect. So through also the mutual respect and reconciliation, and any problem have to solve by talk. So this century should be century of dialogue in order to create this century, century of peace. So therefore, you see, some kind of different views, different interests, so long we human beings on this planet, I think some differences always there. So these different interests, different sort of concept is the source of conflict. So now we have to find ways and means, reduce, you see, these differences through talk with mutual respect, mutual understanding, and basically respect their right and consider them our brothers, sisters. So that's my view. Next question.
Chris from New Zealand is asking, after 15 years of war, how would you advise military veterans traumatized by war that remains in their minds to find inner peace?
Now, I think it is quite natural. Any person who's the previous sort of tragic experience, sometimes you see remain in their mind. Now here, I usually see telling people, and I myself, you see, my tutor, when I was young, some sort of, unhappiness there, then my tutor, you see, advised me. He took one quotation of 8th century's one of the great Indian master. When you see certain sort of sad things already you passed, because you experienced in the past, or even today, analyze whether that sadness or that tragic situation can overcome or not. If through analyzation, through investigation, if there is possibility to overcome that tragic situation, then no need to worry. If that tragic situation, no way to overcome, already happened, then no use too much worry. So you see, your case already happened. You see, too much think about that, too much reflect on these things, not much use. Look, future, as I do. My own century is 20th century. Oh, lot of violence, lot of bloodshed. Now, because of that, sad things in my century, 20th century, I'm looking forward to 21st century. Now, 21st century, at the beginning, the people making effort now, remaining of this century, eventually, I think end of this century, can be genuine, peaceful century. So, there is real hope. Now, with awareness, and everywhere, every continent, heavily interconnected, interdependent. Look, you see that? Now here, our intelligence should use the future of the world, not only nation to nation, but continent to continent, heavily interdependent. That's the nature. Not like ancient time. Ancient time, yes, you see, your interest and their interest is something different. Therefore, destruction of your neighbor may be some benefit to yourself. Now, modern case is destruction of your neighbor, is destruction of yourself. So therefore, that we have to, through use our intelligence, look the reality, more holistic, then combined with warm-heartedness. So human intelligence, far-sightedness, and realistic, and combined with warm-heartedness. Through that way, this century can be peaceful century. Even look, 20th century, at the early part of 20th century, I think when different nations declare war on other nation, every citizen of the nation proudly, without any question, joined war effort. Now that kind of way of thinking completely, I think, changed. In this country, during Vietnam War, many people against that. So therefore, I think look European Union in the early part of 20th century, killing each other, like French and German. After Second World War, they become more mature. So they develop interest about common interest. So European Union started. I often telling people, I feel, according to my feeling, if European Union not developed, then last a few decades, I think some violence within these member states. Because of European Union start. So people become more mature, more far-sighted. Far-sighted, you see, thinking, common interest, rather than just national interest. So these are, I think, big change within 20th century. And Warsaw Pact, NATO, Warsaw Pact. You see, eventually Warsaw Pact is disappear. Sometimes I sort of express the NATO headquarters should shift to Moscow. Then people feel, Russians feel, through decades, Westerns are their negative enemy. So that must sort of reduce, must change. So through practice, if NATO headquarters, eventually for peace, that border in Moscow, then I think millions of Russian mind some change. So like that. So I think within 20th century, if we make study or look closely, early part of thinking, situation, 20th century, later part of 20th century, I think much changed. Therefore, now this 21st century, continuation of later part of 20th century, I have more hope. With that hope, more effort, not just prayer. Sometimes I jokingly say, telling people, if we met Jesus Christ or Muhammad and Buddha and we heard Mahavira, if you ask, please bring peace on this planet, then most probably they will tell us, who creates violence? Not God, not Buddha, not Jesus Christ, but we human beings. So you have the responsibility to solve this. not through prayer, but through action. You have to solve. So, you see, in order to carry realistic action, we have to know the reality fully. In order to know the reality, just through one angle, we cannot see the reality. We must look through all different angles. Or dimensions, not just one dimension, 2 dimensions, but 4 dimensions, or 6 dimensions. In order to look that way, you see, your mind should be more holistic way. Look, more wider perspective. Through that way, you can see more dimension. Through that way, you will see the reality. With that sort of understanding and enthusiasm, self-confidence, honest, truthful, we want happiness, happy world. Every human being should be happy. So that's our goal. So therefore, our goal is right, and our motivation is sense of concern of their well-being. Then our method, combination of our intelligence and willpower from here, I think this 21st century eventually can be peaceful, happy century. I feel that.
Many of the questions talk about an increased divisiveness in the world and in the United States today. Many people are asking and worried about, they're expressing concerns about people not understanding and not listening to each other. One question from Taisha in Carlsbad is, Your Holiness, hate speech as well as religious and racial intolerance have become more apparent in the United States as the year progresses. As a private citizen, how can I create an environment imbued with compassion and tolerance in my immediate environment? She's asking practical question. How can she change?
I think, as I mentioned earlier, I think we should use our intelligence. If you use harsh word, all these come from narrow-minded. So long run, what benefit you? If you want lonely person, then okay, use harsh word towards this friend or this friend, this friend. And then sometimes no other people, then hit on your own, on your head like that. That's sense, any sensible human being do not want that. So we want happy, joyful. In order to create joyful individual, we need friend. We are social animal. So therefore, friendship very important. The friendship entirely depend on trust. Trust come if you show them, as I mentioned earlier, genuine smile, genuine respect, genuine love. Then trust come. So, we are social animal. Any harsh word or negative attitude, even animal, sometimes, some extent, they also know. You see, some dogs, say, if you feed them without genuine love, they also, you see, quite clever. Take the food and never show appreciation. If we show them genuine love, and then they really, you see, their tail truly, you see, go like that, and then close they licking you. Wonderful, isn't it? So they also, their brain, their intelligence very limited, but even then they are part of social animal. So they very much appreciate about our love. Those dogs always barking often remain lonely. Dogs more friendly with other dogs always play together and remain together. So if anyone who really can live without any human brothers, human sisters, then okay. Every human being, when you met any human being, you see because of harsh word and negative face, where you can buy your food. If you see, as soon as enter the shop, and negative harsh word and negative face, eventually you can't get anything. We cannot live eating rice or eating grass. We cannot. We are a human being. Human beings are social animal. So individual human beings' livelihood entirely depend on the rest of the community. So community is very source of our future, very source of our the happiness. So any sort of attitude, verbal action, physical action, which sort of harms, you see, that friendship, then that is, I think, very basis of our survival. Now, because of the destroying or damaging. So use common sense. Should not become slave of our narrow-minded, short-sighted. Okay.
Holiness, Honor from La Jolla is asking, who do you admire most in the world?
Oh, there are many. Firstly, I think in our generation, of course, Mahatma Gandhi. And I think this country, Martin Luther King. I think great. Now among the living, Bishop Tutu. I really love him. Whenever we meet, we always teasing each other. So he often described me mischievous Dalai Lama. So I turn mischievous bishop. So I really respect him, really. He also, you see, loves me, respects me. So one occasion, you see, he because of the public meeting or something, talk. You see, he very much praised me, and then he at the end, you see, he mentioned, unfortunately, this person is not Christian. Then one occasion, he teasing me. He, as a Christian practitioner, ready to go to heaven. Dalai Lama goes somewhere different place. Really nice, wonderful. And now, my only sort of worry is his now old age. Such person, I think, should live long and can serve humanity. At least make one example of good human being. That's my view. And then, of course, in Europe, late the President Havel of Czech. Wonderful person. So like that. So then in India, the first Indian president, Rajendra Prasad. Wonderful person. These I usually admire. Like that. And Mahatma Gandhi, of course, I myself, you see, consider follower of him. Like that. I truly follow him. Ahimsa, non-violence. But I cannot sort of follow his sort of, because I dress or these things. That, of course, firstly, I'm Buddhist monk. I have to keep, you see, the Buddhist, because of the monk's dress, these things. I think practical level also, I cannot sort of copy his sort of, is dressed like that. One time, you see, the Luther King, so attracted, you see, towards Mahatma Gandhi. One occasion, he even wanted to dress like Mahatma Gandhi. His widow told me like that.
Jacqueline of San Diego is asking, what lessons have you learned in this lifetime? That may take a while to answer, but...
Of course, I think first lesson about love I learned from my mother. I consider first teacher of love, loving kindness is my mother. My mother, really very, very kind mother. He never show angry face. He always love. not only myself, but also some neighbors' children, or particularly the poor children. She really showed infinite love. Wonderful. Then, gradually, I study also Buddhist text. Actually, come from India since 8th century. So today, now I notice, I think very important part of ancient Indian knowledge available only among Tibetan tradition. We study rigorously, not just sort of rituals or prayer, but study. Firstly, memorize these root texts, we call root text. Then each word explanation, each word by Indian masters' commentary. Then also Tibetan masters. And then we extensively use debate, use logic. If this is so, that must be. If this is the case, then might be some contradiction or that point. So that kind of sort of investigation is very, very helpful, helping, sharpening our mind. It's very, very useful. So I carry study that way. Then become refugee. Although 1954, I had opportunity to visit Peking, and I met Chairman Mao Zedong and many party leaders, really dedicated, wonderful revolutionary people, leader, wonderful. So at that time, I learned about Marxism. So even today, as far as socio-economic theory is concerned, I'm Marxist. So very useful. I learned from Chairman Mao Zedong and a number of leaders at that time. So then 56 came to India. Now, visit Peking 1954 and 55. Then 56 come to India. Then since 59 remain India as a refugee. And a lot of sort of new opportunity, meeting with people, different spiritual tradition, different sort of academic sort of subject, and then particularly scientist. So nowadays, I sort of consider myself, and also telling people, half Buddhist monk, half scientist. Wonderful, wonderful. So therefore, sometimes I sort of publicly sort of telling, all these opportunity happen because of Chinese communist ruthless sort of policy. We escaped. So we got this opportunity. If I still remain as a grade 14th Dalai Lama in Potala, I think my mind is still narrow-minded. So you see, one sort of tragedy really brings a lot of new opportunity, a lot of good things like that. So things relative. There is no absolute negative like that.
Marcia from San Diego asks, how can we remain calm and centered when things all around us are chaotic?
So ultimately, this human mind, human intelligence, as I already mentioned, I think our intelligence really have great ability, you see, to make balance about our emotion. So that's why I now appreciate, I realize ancient Indian tradition about how to tackle our emotion. Now modern India not much pay attention, these things. So now, one of my commitment is, in India, we want to revival of ancient Indian knowledge in India. So this, I think, very, very helpful to open our intelligence and how to use our intelligence. That brings the inner strength, a realistic approach. That becomes calm mind. That brings calm mind. Relax, always relax. Yes?
Daphne from Spring Valley asks, what is your definition of success in life?
Success, as I mentioned earlier, our very purpose of our life is happy life. So I think myself and many other my friends, you see, under difficult circumstances, they keep happy mind, always joyful, always smile.
Chris from New Zealand, actually, I'm sorry, Regina from Mexico is asking, why have you done so much work with college students? What is the most important or surprising thing you've learned from interacting with college students?
Two things. Students, as I mentioned earlier, the generation of 21st century, you are the basis of our hope. And then secondly, when I meet or sit, let's say, face to face, old people, then sometimes, you see, I feel something like, you go first or I go first. So when I meet, you see, young people, young student, I myself used to feel that moment I feel younger. Like that. So I love meet young students who have real bright future. So there is possibility to serve them some extent, like that.
We have a question here from Josh who asks, how can we learn to provide selfless service to others, yet avoid neglecting ourselves in the process? The line between service and self-care can get blurred.
Of course, physical level, you see, you need rest, you need sufficient sleep, and sort of sufficient sort of proteins, right? This, of course, you have to take care. But mentally, more serving other people, you get more satisfaction. More satisfaction gives you more happiness, and you feel fulfillment in your life. So serving other people, thinking more compassionate, is the best way to fulfill your own interest, like that. The other hand, just think oneself, self-centered attitude, more worry, more, also the anxiety. And finally, your physical, your physical also ruined. So, again here, use our intelligence. What is long-term, what is benefit? More altruistic attitude, serving other people, the helping other people, that's the best way to bring one's own happiness or satisfaction, like that.
So let's, I think, ask a final question, and that is, if you could solve one problem in the world, what would it be?
That's a difficult question. There are so many problems. So whatever way, some make some contribution. I think one single person solve one world problem, I think impossible. So you see, try to make some contribution and raise more, comrades work together. These things, you see, I think worldwide movement, education field. Now in India, many people now showing interest, and this country also, in Europe also. So now these, like ripple. Something drops here, ripple, where? Go like that. So like that, I think any human movement first start from individual. So we all have this sort of ability. Now here, I'm talking few thousand people here. Each of you have your own friend. So I always is telling people, from one person, at least 10 friends share certain sort of things. And then each 10 share their own friends. That means 100. That way, from 1, 10, from 10, 100, 100,000, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000. Go like that. That's the way. See, these, nothing, you see, happen because of miracles already. Through effort, through gradual change. So that's my view. And thinking that also, you see, brings inner sort of strength. Things not easy. But there's a possibility. Therefore, that brings, I think, firstly, willpower from altruism. The method, realistic method from brain. Combine these things. Then the self-confidence, determination come. Or willpower also come. So then with sort of positive sort of what's the vision and a determination and a self-confidence, then days, weeks, months, years, decades, not much problem. If really difficult mind, and even few hours difficult, calm mind with full enthusiasm, optimism, years, not differences. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Now seems to see people really showing interest. So now these are, is it not, 중국으로 개 말봐. No, not like Hazuda, telling stories. Oh, this is something, sense of our concern. So please think more seriously and share with your own friend. And then future depend on our action. Our positive action, constructive action, will depend on the combination of willpower and intelligence. That's very, very important. So please keep these things in your mind and try to implement as much as you can. Thank you. So, thank you. Thank you. See you again. Thank you.